Okay, you're all set.
Thanks, Josh. I will call the George Mitchell Elementary School Building Committee on September 13th at 6:39 p.m. to order. I'd like to ask everyone to join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. Sorry, I'm getting a call from one of the members. Oh, and I just realized my camera is not on. I apologize. So opening remarks, Mr. Dutton, Mr. Swenson, anything you'd like to add this evening before we move into the meat of the agenda?
Nothing from me. All is good. So congratulations to the team.
Okay.
Same here, Mr. Dolan. We're good. We continue to meet on Tuesdays. We're meeting tomorrow, and everything seems to be going well so far. So thank you.
Okay, very good. I will take a motion to approve the minutes from the August 4th meeting that I believe Mr. Dutton put together.
Read them very carefully.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
That's a motion by Mr. Rushton. Do I have a second?
Second, Mark.
By Mr. Lindy. This does require a roll call vote. Josh, whenever you're ready.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Harsh.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Moving on to item number 6, approval of Bacon Payment Requisition 08. This does require a vote. Mike, I'll turn the floor over to you.
All right. I am able to share my screen. Okay.
Sorry about that. I had open house.
No worries, Pat.
Look,
Thanks
Pat, no worries.
We're on item number 6, approval of Bacon Payment Requisition number 8.
Yep, so I have hopefully you can see the cover sheet here. This has been reviewed and approved by the project team, signed by John from RDA. It's in the amount of $2,712,723. Do we have any questions on Bacon Payment Application number 8? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve Bacon payment number 8, requisition number 8 in the amount of $2,712,723.
Very good. That's a motion by Lil. Do we have a second?
Second.
This is Harsh.
Second by Harsh. This does require a roll call vote.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Harsh.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Very good. Thank you. Mike, stick with you. Bacon change order number 3.
All right, so that was actually a typo on the agenda. It is change order number 4. That's what
Okay.
was sent all around. Just a minor change there. Can you still see my screen?
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
expand it? It's really hard to see.
So here is change order 4, made up of these 8 PCOs. This was sent around with the PCOs as backup for review. But we did also send around a memo put together by Gene from RDA that sort of gives a little narrative of the reasoning behind the change. These values, as you see them, in a lot of cases have been back and forth with comments from us or our negotiated values based on our review. These are in this change order because we've basically preliminarily approved them. We've authorized Bacon to include them in this change order. They've sort of passed our test and they've passed RDA's test, and we recommend them for approval by the committee. So were there any questions overall, or we can just drill down on each one? I know Gene's ready to step in and sort of support his narrative if anyone has any questions.
I do.
Go ahead, Mark.
Just wondering, it seems like the light fixture revisions seems like a substantial number to me. Just curious why.
Hey, Mark, it's Gene. It is a substantial number. I'm just going to tell it like it is. We showed architecturally on our ceiling plans a bunch of light fixtures. I never want to throw it, I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. We sent them off to the electrical engineer, and they didn't end up showing up on the electrical drawings. So it's like I said in my letter, we try to be perfect, but stuff like this happens, and the price has been validated. The fixtures that we would like to see in the building will cost an additional $31,000. And again, what I would say is if they had shown up in the electrical drawings, during the bid time, we would think that the electrical bid would be $31,000.
Gee, you didn't get cutting out. Is
higher.
it just me?
I think it might be just you, Harsh.
Yeah, it was clear over here.
So Mark, I never want to make excuses, but that's just what happened.
So basically, Gene, it's light fixtures that we knew we needed, we knew we wanted, and we would have paid for in the bid, had they been on the electrical plans, but they weren't. Not to put under the rug the change order markups, right? There is a little cost to that.
Right. Yep.
But the value that we're getting for these lights is a good price. Basically, it's been reduced from the first revision.
Yeah, Mike, can you kind of make sure the committee hears from you guys what the process is to get to this final point when these change orders come in, just so they know what we do?
Yeah, so each of these PCOs, usually we know about them before they even come, right? We've discussed them, they're changes that come in design documents. But once we actually get that PCO, it's a draft. CHA and RDA independently review them, send comments to each other and to Bacon. Those get passed down to the subcontractors. We haggle. Sometimes they disagree with our comments. Sometimes they agree. After that step in the process, we'll come together in a change order meeting. We review each PCO, that's the contractors, RDA, CHA, review where we've gotten in all those notes going back and forth, get to a place with each PCO where we're comfortable with it being included in a change order, have them incorporate any final revisions and send us the actual versions that are going into the change order, review that, send that to RDA and say, this is what we wanted it to be. It's okay to execute and put your cover on. And that's what gets sent to the committee.
In particular, this particular change was, I don't remember the exact number, Mike. It was either 49 or 51 when it first came to us, right?
So this one in particular basically went through that process that I described twice, right? Because there was some hesitance in us getting the backup that we wanted, or I guess I should say the breakdown and cost that we wanted. And as we got more of a breakdown, we were able to scrutinize it more and get the price reduced, based on our competitive pricing.
I'm just
Mike
concerned.
Dolan,
that
this is
could
harsh.
happen multiple
Sorry,
times.
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just concerned that this could happen with other vendors too. It seems like a large amount. I'm gonna ask that it be broken out of the whole package if that's possible.
Yeah, Mike Dolan, I have a question if I can jump in there.
Yep, hold on just 1 second, Harsh. Mark, are you
Sure.
making a motion to pull?
I'm gonna make a motion to take it out of the change order, and I want to vote it separately.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to remove PCO 014, various light fixture revisions from this change, voted separately. Is there a second? Hearing no second, the motion will die on the floor. Okay, the motion dies on the floor. Harsh, the floor is yours.
So I cut out a little bit when Gene was explaining, but I think what I heard was that the architectural intent was to have certain light fixtures and they didn't make it to the electrical drawing. Is that fair?
That is what happened, Harsh, yes.
And is it fair to say that they were on the architectural drawings? The light fixtures were scheduled on the architectural RCPs?
They weren't scheduled. The only place the fixtures are scheduled, Harsh, with a designation is on the electrical. What was on the architectural is, we show the ceiling plan and we show rectangles where lights are, and we show, louvers and all the other things that are on the ceiling, but we don't call them out on the architectural, if that makes sense.
But so that does make sense. I guess the conundrum that I'm in is if a general contractor sees scope on the documents and does not include them, did they qualify it to say they didn't have those? Did they ask an RFI to say they needed more information? I mean, at the end of the day, what I'm getting at is if they did show up on an architectural drawing and the information wasn't clear, at very least, I would expect some kind of a follow-up from the general contractor rather than get a change order midway into the project.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Well, it's a lot different when you're in the public bid realm.
Okay.
The general contractor, really this change order was generated from the electrical filed sub bid contractor. So there are certain categories of work that are their own separate bids, Harsh.
Right.
And the GC doesn't hire these people. The electrical guy gave a number and the GC carried it. But unfortunately, the only thing that the electrical contractor is required to include in his price is what shows up on the electrical drawings. And so I know,
which is fine by me. I understand what the electrical contractor's limitations were. I guess my focus here is on the GC. I mean, if you're seeing scope that's on the documents and it was not included as part of the bid, there's no qualification. I'm just wondering if this needs to be a change order that's coming out of the owner's pocket, or this should be a contingency or funded from a contingency that, the GC is carrying.
Yeah, that's the thing with, if it was a construction management at risk contract, that's how it would be, could be handled. But this is a low bid chapter 149. And so the general contractor he put out his number and he included the electrical number in it, but he's not responsible for, carrying, he can't by law carry allowances.
Okay, no, thanks for clarifying. That makes
I
a
will
lot more
say,
sense.
Harsh, you're seeing it now in its final form in what we could call the middle of the project, but it was submitted, much earlier on in the coordination of the lighting submittals. And it was the process going back and forth a few times, getting this price down, that, is basically is why you haven't seen it until now. I will note also that, the lighting package, the lighting, supply house, was difficult getting this pricing information from them. And also we want to make sure there's no excuses or any reasons for not releasing anything, in the light fixture package as a whole. So, it's we wanted to get this, in front of you as soon as possible, once we got the price, the way. that we
Yeah,
thought was fair
and
reasonable.
I will take a minute to just commend, the design team and the OPM to make sure to following up and getting the breakout, because I think lighting vendors are notorious for not releasing trade secrets like that. So, kudos to you guys to get the breakout.
It's wild. It's the same story on every project. I almost want to say, like, you eventually gave one on the last project. Can we just get that level of breakdown detail on this one and not take a month going back and forth? But we finally got there.
For everybody, I want to follow up on like the different ways that the projects get bid. This, you chose to go with a lump sum low bid, and it worked out really well. When the pricing came in, you got a fantastic price. The part of that is that changes do happen. There's no project, even there's just no project where changes don't happen. And because of that, with this scenario, you just have to, and MSBA expects that you're going to carry a contingency for construction change orders. And just to put it in perspective, your contingency, based on the project budget when it went to town meeting, is 4.6 million for unforeseen issues. And with this change order, if it's approved tonight, you will have spent 148,000. So again, it doesn't make it any easier, or less embarrassing to say that there's some changes here, but I just want to put that into perspective. We're about 150 into a $4.6 million line item. Not that we want to spend it.
Of course.
If we don't have to.
So if I could, Gene, are we taking steps to make sure that there are no more of these? I don't want to call them surprises because I don't really think it is, but are you, your team, and Mike, I'll turn to you as well, are both teams taking steps to, if there are more out there that we don't know about, that you're on top of those now?
Yes, there will be more. I mean, there just will be. That's part of the process. And
Yep.
we are, John is out there working with CHA.
I guess
I
a
don't-
part, oh, go ahead, Mike.
I don't mean change orders. I get the change orders will happen. I mean things like the lighting specifically that was missed, that kind of thing, versus the typical change order I get and makes complete sense, but things that were missed from the in the bidding process, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. Are we making sure that we're going through and reviewing things to make sure that, one, there are no more of those, and two, if there are, that they get before us sooner rather than later?
So
Let me-
that's that, yeah. So there's a couple of processes that come together and do that for us. There's the MEP and FP coordination, which touches a lot of the different trades, and a lot of these changes have come out of that coordination. Then there's the submittals and shop drawings, which a lot of times we don't, it's almost impossible for us to shake out a change that's coming until the subcontractor gets engaged, gets into what they're supposed to own, sends us that first round of submittals, and we can look at it and we say, hey, this isn't, what we expected. Why didn't you carry what we thought? And find out why. A lot of times it takes that happening. What we're doing most actively is, trying to avoid changes where work has been put in place, right? The extra expensive stuff. If we had, flown by this work without installing these light fixtures, it wouldn't just be 31,000, right? It'd be 60,000, because we'd be, we wouldn't have whatever, we wouldn't have rough electrical running to them, or whatever the case might be. So between John active on site, our full-time representation on site, in coordination with Bacon, who's been great with us so far, that, that's the process for that. I don't know if you have anything to add there, Gene or John.
No, just that is when stuff shows up, and when it does show up, just like this went from 51,000 to 31,000. I mean, you know, it's not like we just say, oh, okay, here's your money. I mean, it gets ground down. But when it's fair, it's fair. And, you know, we're not gonna try to shortchange a contractor just to, you know, avoid these things. We just try to be fair. And I think that fairness shows up in the quality of construction and the cooperation and, you know, getting the building done with, again, good quality and on time. You know, you just, you know, if it's a miss, it's a miss. And, you know, it has to be acknowledged, but it has to be a fair number. John, anything else, John? Or?
No, I mean, it's part of the process. I mean, we're 9, almost 10 months into a project that is exactly on schedule, actually a little ahead of schedule. So that it shows in the cooperation, and it shows in the team effort between the three parties. So it's a small price to pay for a job that's going so smoothly.
I do have a question as well. Did this, prior to it coming to the full committee, did the financial subcommittee get the opportunity to review the change orders?
No, Lil, this just went directly to the full committee.
Okay. And is there a reason for that, Gene?
Just the reason was just the timing.
Okay. And is there any way that in the future that this can be reviewed by the financial subcommittee before coming to the full committee?
Well, that wasn't the, you know, the thought, you know, the financial subcommittee was to be sort of nimble and get things approved before full committee meetings in case we had to. But if that makes sense to the committee, you know, that's something that could happen, right? You know, there could be a layer before there so that, and possibly the financial subcommittee recommends to this committee its approval.
I could take that back to John because I know John's on that committee, so I can ask him about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a change meeting once a month, so we just have to reschedule that to make sure that it happens in time to be able to present to your financial committee. That's all.
Yeah, we would just back it off a week, John, basically.
Yeah, we just have to rearrange it, but that's not an issue at all. So.
Any other questions for change order number 4? Don't see anybody raising their hands. So I'll entertain a motion to approve change item number 4.
So moved, Michael.
Was that you, Matt?
Yes.
Okay, motion by Matt. Need a second?
Second.
Second by Lil. Roll call vote. Josh, you're up.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
No.
Patrick,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Harsh.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Thank you, Josh. Number 8, approval of Bacon proposal request number 28. Fence and planting at retaining wall. This does require a vote. Mike and Gene, I'll turn it back to you two.
All right, thank you, Mike. So last meeting, we did authorize Bacon to proceed with installing the sleeves for some kind of fence to be installed into them. And that work was completed. And that pricing was finalized. See this note here in red. This is the revision 1 of the pricing note. What we had also asked for last meeting was for the plantings, the adding trees to be broken out of PCO number 28. That's now PCO number 28A, which is also sent to the group for review. I guess, so this is not a change order yet. This is at that level of PCO, that we talked about, in explaining the change order. This being a little different, us not being sure if it needed to happen or if the committee wanted it to happen. We wanted to present it to the committee at this level. And if approved, it would be included in change order 5, likely presented next month. What this will do is allow the subcontractor to get going on the fencing submittals and essentially know what the plan is. So.
So then we're going to be voting. We'll have 2 votes here, folks. It'll be number 28 for the fencing and then 28A for the planting.
Well, oh yeah, that's right. That's fine. So 28, some AKA 28.1 in some ways the file is saved, but separate from 28A. We have our earthwork cost, which is to install the sleeves and for a little bit of engineering at the retaining wall. It's this cost here.
Is there any way to make it bigger? I can't see it.
Yep. And the bulk of the cost is the delta for the fence. That's replacing the vinyl chain link fence with the 6-foot wood cedar fence. So the total of this PCO is $38,764.90. Like I said, this would allow us to release them to proceed basically just with submittals at this point. We'd still need to review and approve that before the material's ordered. But then it would be included in the next change order to be reviewed by the committee.
So just, Mike, if I could, for clarification for everyone. So if we're voting on the 38,764.90 tonight, that doesn't necessarily mean this will pass the change order then, correct?
I technically no, right? Because you still have another opportunity to vote.
Right.
But we will have, released them at least to proceed with the submittals. So there will be some money spent essentially.
Right. All right. I just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. That's all.
Typically on an issue that we know has to happen, right? This is where CHA, RDA, and Bacon sit around a table and do all this, but we're bringing the committee in on this one, just being the fence issue for the neighbors.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee?
I have a question, Mike.
Yep, go ahead, Will.
Is there a reason that the whole thing cannot be a chain link and why we need to go with the wood fence?
Can I, I'm Robert Basler. I'm one of the neighbors there. Can I address?
Yep, Mr. You'll have an opportunity during public comment,
Okay.
but thank you.
Well, it answers that question.
No,
Well,
we'll get the response from our design team.
Michael, wasn't it a change in the elevation that necessitated the fencing instead of chain link?
So I'm going to turn that to Mike and Jean to respond to.
No, this came out of someone. Well, it's an aesthetic. It's an aesthetic thing, and I think when all the site clearing was done, it was clear that there wasn't going to be a planting screen between the school and the back of the neighbors' houses, and where the driveway is elevated. The question was brought up, well, aren't we going to, and it turned out to be true. When cars drive around there with their headlights on in the winter, they're going to be shining into the back of our house. This came as a response to a concern raised by the abutters. And a chain link fence, wouldn't serve the same purpose, Lil. Either you'd look through it, right? The headlights would go through it, or if you put slats in, they become a kind of a maintenance issue and an aesthetic issue too. I mean, I'm sure we've all seen them on construction sites or other places, over the years. The slats just get blown out or they get damaged or whatever. I guess
Yes,
that's
my question would also be, Gene, to that. I thought we were putting in plantings, those trees in order to help with that.
right. I don't know if you remember, well, so the paved areas are at the top of the retaining wall, and there's no room for planting on the upper tier there. So then the retaining wall, I forget the exact, but at one end it might be 4 or 5 feet above the ground, and by the time it gets to the other end, it's like 13 or 14 feet. So the thought on the plantings was that it's on your property, but it's at the bottom of the wall, and it was to mitigate, having to look at what could be a very tall retaining wall.
Mike McNulty, could you scroll up one page? I believe it the diagram to Lil's question. Yeah, so those photos, actually that one there, Mike, sorry. That one, yep. So Lil, the plantings are at the ground level. The retaining wall is elevated higher than those bushes.
Okay.
Fence sits on top of the retaining wall in. Mike, you want to go to those pictures again? The photo right on top of that retaining wall.
Okay.
On top of the wall is where the fence is. All those little circles you see are the cores where the fence posts would go.
Okay.
Again, on the right side where it's green, the ground is substantially lower, and the retaining wall shows quite a bit of itself to the abutting properties. So the thought was to screen that from the neighbors' views.
Excuse me? Can I ask a question?
Go ahead, Kathy.
Thank you. I'm just wondering, we're putting up a wooden fence along there, correct?
Yes.
Is that area wide enough for like snow plowing, and when the snow gets thrown up against things, will that be far enough away so that it doesn't crash into the fence?
It depends on how they plow it. There's only a short portion of it that's
Okay.
actually, again, they're not gonna be able to plow and pile on top of the retaining wall. They're gonna, those spaces and that one edge of road, they're gonna have to clear it with a little finesse.
Okay.
The other part on the left is the driveway, right? So they'll be plowing, down the driveway, and they won't be pushing up. There's a little bit of room to push up on the right, but most of it will go to the left.
It's an
Will
area.
there be enough room for for them to start mounding the snow anywhere, or?
We went through this with Bob back
You
in the
did,
beginning, so
okay.
I think those locations are set. But I know when Jeff and he were discussing this, it was a big deal. So it was something that was discussed at length
Okay.
between Bob Pacheco and Jeff Yost. So
I mean, Kathy, what you bring up is super valid, right? We always have to figure out where the snow is going to go.
Right.
And I guess what John, I know what John is saying because I was part of it, is, we did go through with Bob where there were going to be curbs and where there was going to be snow storage.
But I guess the answer is it's not designed to go here. And we hope it doesn't.
As long as you've spoken with Bob and he's comfortable with it, I know we had issues at times at other sites that I was at where, we wanted to be so careful of that because it's obviously easier to clear when you don't have all these obstacles and.
Right.
And And if we ever have snow like we did back in 2015, we gotta find a place to put the stuff, get rid of it.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Kath. Are there any other questions from the committee? Jean, if I could ask one question. I asked this last time and I just want to make sure it's asked again. The wood fence is attached to metal poles. And
Yes.
the metal poles are then sunk into the retaining wall, so there's no chance of the posts rotting. I realize wood will rot, but
Correct. And last time I just spoke again from experience, and but you know, it's a wood fence, but these fences are not subject to rot, Mike. I mean, they'll last decades. You know,
okay.
they're just natural finish cedar fence, and there are no wood posts sitting in water.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other questions from the members of the committee before I ask for a motion to approve request number 28 for the fencing? Okay, seeing none, I will entertain that motion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Rushton. Do I have a second?
Second,
Second by Mrs. Holbrook. Roll call vote. Josh?
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Harsh.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Very good. Thank you, Josh. Moving on to 28, the plantings at the retaining wall. Mike and Jean, I'll turn it back to you again.
So I'll give the short story. You know, this includes a credit for seeding, which isn't much, just grass seed, and to add for mulch and the trees. The trees are juniper and arborvitae, as recommended by Jean's consultants. Jean, did you have any comments on here?
I think I touched on it earlier. This is to soften the face of the you know, the wall, which I kind of over on the left side where Mike has it up. It's, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet above grade, and as it goes to the right at the end of the planting, like going off memory, I think it's about 13 or 14 feet tall. So we're trying to get some evergreens there that will you know, just soften what the neighbors, the abutters have to look at.
Of note, the trees on the right are larger trees at maturity.
That sort of follows how the retaining wall goes up in elevation, right?
Correct. I mean, they're all going to be roughly 8 feet tall when they're planted, but the giants will grow half again as tall as the other ones. So they will all grow to the top of the wall consistently, I think.
So it's obviously something, you know, it doesn't impact the building code. It doesn't impact the usability of the school. I mean, this is strictly an aesthetic issue, and it's you know, kind of focused on the abutters, given the changes to the site that occurred, you know.
Questions from the committee?
I'll go back, Mr. Dolan, if I may, go back to my original concern about how are we going to maintain that? Like where's the access to get to that in order to maintain it?
What? You have to rappel down the wall.
John? Lil, I don't know if you heard John's response.
No, what did John say?
You have to rappel down.
Oh, that won't be pretty.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think last time we discussed the possibility if we, you know, made this section a gate, and even then it's a tough area. And, you know, you have the woods encroaching on it. You know, it's I guess in approving this, you should keep in mind that it's a challenge to maintain and assume that the look will be mostly unmaintained, right? You'll get what grows or what stays.
But I think the abutters would have to understand that also, right? And, though the town is, I mean, they're making a good faith effort to do something, but if one of these dies, either it's gonna stay dead and fall over or be brown, or the abutters are gonna have to give the town permission to go over their property to, take it out. So the only other option is, you could plant a mess of ivy and just wait for 10 years or 15 years or whatever for the ivy to go up the wall and soften it that way. So, if you did approve this, there's clearly some risk, but I don't think it would be fair for the town to be held responsible for, I don't know, replacing things or somehow servicing it from the town's property, So.
Mike,
Mike, are you there, Mike?
yeah, go ahead, Pat.
So the green giants and the junipers, I mean, there's gonna be very little maintenance to those. They're pretty hardy. I mean, I have a green giant hedge along the back of a property I own, and I mean, they're pretty maintenance free. They're great at hiding. I think it's a great addition. I think we should do it. And I don't think there'll be any maintenance. It's basically be a natural buffer over time.
Any other questions? So Gene, I think it was you last meeting, we asked about the watering and maintenance of these, the first year of their life. Our landscape folks take care of that?
Yes, but so everyone just has to recognize it's gonna be a challenge, right? They're probably gonna be watering it from the top of the wall down. And again, if, they are guaranteed for a year, but if one of them dies, the neighbor's gonna have to let someone go over their property to get to it.
Right, so it would be replaced for free by the contractor under warranty, but it wouldn't be pain-free for us, right?
Or the neighbor.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that property is actually owned by one of the neighbors. Mr. Dutton, I'll ask, or actually, Pat, you may know this on planning board. The gentleman to the immediate left of the driveway, his property is an L shape. Is that correct?
No. There's the property, no, the property, I don't have it in front of me, but that's not the case. The property, I think 3 or 4 houses in from the driveway is an L shape.
Okay. Okay. So it would be, all right. So it's not every neighbor who abuts that wall per se. It's only a few. Is ultimately what I'm getting at.
I think there's only 2 or 3. I forget the number. One of them is a dog leg, Michael, but I think it just covers part of the wall on the right side.
Okay. Other questions from the committee? Just scroll through again. Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to approve Bacon proposal request 28A.
So
I'll
moved.
make a motion to approve.
Second.
Or I'll second it then.
Motion by Pat, second by Mark. This does require a roll call vote.
Michael,
No.
Lil,
No.
Mark,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Scott,
No.
Matt,
Yes.
Harsh,
No.
Thank you. With a vote of 4 noes and 3 yeses, vote failed.
Very good. Thank you, Josh. Moving on to OPM update.
I'll take it out of my backyard 2 years from now.
Thank you, Mike. All right. So if anyone's been by the site, you see, the progress is great. We are on schedule, as John said, in some areas ahead of schedule, in other areas paying particular attention, making sure that things stay as positive as they are right now. The interior and exterior framing is underway and the sheathing is ongoing. An important step in closing in the building. Hollow metal door and window frame installations ongoing, and you see some waterproofing beginning on that sheathing. CMU installation, as of today, some of the stairwells are up to the roof. I think they're going to move back onto the elevator shaft shortly. That's going well. Testing and inspections are ongoing. That's a process that us as a team are all managing together. Roof membrane and insulation is ongoing. As RDA has noted, or I guess noted in last meeting, the method of installation has allowed us to get ahead of things for the winter. That's a big win on the project. Underground utilities continue. We're coordinating with the utility companies. Slab on grade continues. We'll see in some of the photos to come. We continue our weekly safety walkthroughs and our weekly meetings. And Alyssa has spearheaded our preliminary move meetings with our moving company and with some of the staff. So this is the tool we use. It's updated every week. It's the 3-week look ahead schedule from our general contractor. This repeats a lot of the activities I just went through as ongoing right now. This is something that we track these activities to see if things are slipping week to week. We also track this and the activities listed here against the overall schedule, to make sure that things are being coordinated overall. So we continue with our site contractor. We have Americon doing their rebar. Our electrician is well underway. They're now doing the rough and the masonry. And Buchanan is a plumber following framing. Stanley Roofing is ongoing. Back Bay Concrete is our concrete finisher. Bacon does some self-performing, so they've listed themselves here. Another thing we use this for is to schedule our testing and inspections. That's an important part of the dialogue we have with our general contractor every week. As you see, general mechanical, commercial masonry, colony drywall, full and waterproofing. The site is starting to get full with subcontractors, and like we've all said, it's been a good experience so far. We'll see some of that quality coming up here. Some of that exterior sheathing. Some masonry. Stop me if anyone has any questions on specific photos. Was that slab on deck reinforcing, no fiber mesh? That was only on slab on grade. Underground plumbing within the building footprint. Exterior metal stud framing is wrapping around the building. Here's a nice primary duct bank running through the front of the site. A little further along with AVB at the north elevation. There's a shot of the roof. See some of those well openings for the skylights. See the mechanical framing. upcoming schedule milestones. These are old, but here's we're still at the point of the project before we get inside where, we have our month-long activities. And this reiterates what we just went through. Next meeting falls on Columbus Day, Mike.
Yep.
I don't know if we want to simply move that to the Tuesday.
We'll have to reschedule that. Josh, if I could look to you to survey the committee with either moving it to Tuesday or the following Monday. I don't want to do that now. I don't want to take everybody's time and not all of the committee here. So
Yep.
Josh, ask you to do that. Please.
Sure, I'll pull the committee tomorrow.
So
Thank
Mike, I'll just coordinate with you.
Yeah.
Get a notice. There.
Perfect. Thanks, Mike.
I think I already put it down in my calendar as the 18th. So we must have talked about it
We
before.
did.
Yeah,
I have it on the 18th as well, Kathy.
okay.
So I don't think I guess we don't need to vote on that, do we, Mike?
We do not need to vote on it.
Right, okay. All right,
So if I could just still have Josh double check with folks, I want to make sure we have a quorum at least for that. So.
Okay, I'll check.
all right.
Thanks, Lou.
Next slide here is total project budget update, updated with amounts paid to date. One overall note on the project budget is the MSBA bid amendment has been finalized and sent around to be executed. So that effective reimbursement rate that was sent around, can be finalized now. Mike, I know it was already being shared, but there were no surprises, I guess I'll say. And we're up to submitted propay 22, been reimbursed up to 19. And that process has been going very well with MSBA. Were there any questions on any of the progress photos or anything?
I do have one question related to the reimbursement and the tax ramifications, Mr. Dutton, and that tax calculator.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. Just moved everybody on my screen. Now I can't see Mr. Dutton. There he is. If you could just give us an update on that tax calculator, sir.
Yep, I know the calculation's actually been done, and if it's not on the website, it will be shortly. I know that the numbers were all calculated and figured and proved out, so we should be there.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Mike or Alyssa from the OPM team? Okay. Designer update, John?
There we go. Okay. We 8 weeks from tonight, so your November meeting, this is part of the memo that we sent out. We would like to come to you, the full SBC, with a recommendation from us and the finishes subcommittee for the patterns and the colors that would be installed in the building. So we worked with the finishes subcommittee quite a bit during design, and we established, kind of the theme for the building. And what happens is the contractor has a choice of 3 different flooring materials and 3 different this and that's. So we've been gathering all the submittals from the contractor. He's chosen the ones that he has a right to use, he or she. And so now we have to work with that color palette, and we'd like to, for lack of a better word, reconstitute our work with the finishes subcommittee. And, we see over the next 2 months, having a series of Zoom meetings again and doing exactly what we did last time, which is, here's the floor pattern, here's the colors, here's the paint color we would suggest, here's the, color of the trim and all these various things. So I'm not sure the mechanics of that, but we'd like to start working with that committee again.
I guess it would look like we'll work with you to identify some dates to throw out to that committee and start from there. I guess.
At the same time, based on, we're opening a school in a couple weeks up on the North Shore, and it's all coming together, but it's been a little bit close getting furniture deliveries. You've all heard about, the supply chain issues. And so we were going to start this a little later, but I'd like to, with that same committee, and maybe that committee needs to be expanded to include more facilities people or teachers or whatever. But we'd like to go kind of room type by room type and start saying that, these are the 2 or 3 student desks that we'd like to, consider, and then go through the process of making a recommendation again to your committee so that purchase orders can be issued by Kathy or the district kind of sooner than later. We'd rather whatever, get in line now than be a little late, because we'll want to be installing this stuff, and it's really not as far as it sounds, but next August we're going to be wanting to install this stuff. And where furniture, there's a lot to furniture, getting what you want and making sure it's durable and making sure it's, user friendly and all that. But it also integrates with color, because you can buy things in different colors, and it just seems like it's a kind of a natural fit for working with maybe the subcommittee or an expanded subcommittee to go through that process.
Jean, are you thinking that the purchase is going to be a bid or go through combis, or?
It'll go through combis.
Okay.
It's really the best, most cost-effective way to do it. The state, everyone else, the state has, kind of aggregated, bidders. The state has bid out all this stuff, and they get great pricing because, people, it's just such big quantities, and we can get just about anything we want. So Kathy, there are a few things like this other district we're working with. There've been a few things that they've ordered, directly from a vendor or, on Amazon or, et cetera, et cetera. But it's really a very simple and cost-effective process.
Yep. Okay.
So I'm not looking for a vote or anything, but I don't even know who wants to still be on the committee or if you're going to expand the committee, but I wanted to bring that up.
So I'll ask for any questions first from the committee for Jean. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to ask Mike, Jean, Dennis, and Derek and Lil to look at possibly adding more people to that committee. Maybe 1 teacher per grade, the specialists. I'll leave that to all of you to figure out, but I think we should have the people using this stuff, picking the stuff, or recommending the stuff at least. At least take on it. I don't know if others feel differently, but
Mike, can I ask, are you talking about expanding the committee for furniture or just for the colors and stuff?
furniture.
All right.
No, not colors.
And
Just-
and Gene, do you already have the recommended or the color palettes that you think you're gonna, is that something you could send out in advance? Or is that, or do you have no idea about colors yet?
Well, so the way we'd work it, Pat, is we would make some recommendations to the subcommittee, with a slideshow over Zoom is how we did it in the past. and then we get comments, and then we refine and kind of come back. So we don't have anything right now to send out, but we're in the process. We know we have to do it. We're in the process of kind of compiling some stuff, and yeah, I don't know, maybe a week from now or whatever, we want to just be able to, send stuff.
Exterior colors are picked though, right? We picked the brick and the cement wood.
Yeah, we're all set on the exterior, so this is really the interior design, for lack of a better, phrase.
Thank you.
Our issue here is that, again, what we've seen in other schools, if we don't have all the information to the contractors 6 or 7 months before the opening, we're gonna be in trouble. So what I'm hoping to do is in early December, issue to the contractor every color that he needs for every piece of material, so that before the first of the year, everything is ordered. And then what's gonna happen is there'll be things that someone says, oh, I can't get that, I can't get that, I can't do, and then we'll have some decisions to make. But we want to be out of the finish business in early January in terms of selection. So this is the right time to push it, get it in front of you guys in early November, kick it around for a couple of weeks, but we issue it first week in December and we'll be all set.
Any other questions? Mike, Jean, Dennis, Derek, Lil, does that sound like a plan?
It does. I like the way we did it before when we had the teachers in per grade level and had a discussion with them about what they wanted to see in the building. And I thought it was very worthwhile. I think they need to be involved. They're the ones using the furniture. They know what they like. And I think that's a better route to go if we went like we did before, if possible. And Derek, I'd leave this totally up to you.
Yep.
Going into the conference room and just meeting with them again. And Jean, if you could have some slides to show them the different types of furniture that is available, I think that would be most helpful and a good use of time.
We already have the schedule set, Dennis, right, from the last one. You just kind of probably mirror that schedule.
Correct. We could invite the same people we invited the last time, and then they brought it back to their grade level meetings that month to share it with the rest of the team and get their feedback.
Yeah. I think it's the best way to do it, because if you get just too many folks in there, you're gonna have too many differing of opinions. I think you just kind of consensus, bring it back to the team, and then, provide us and Jean, the feedback.
I'll look back and see if I can find that schedule, Derek.
Yeah, I think you sent it to me in an email too. So if you can't find it, I have it.
Thank God for email.
I know some of the vendors said they would be happy to come in and set up a few things for us to see if we need to look at a classroom with the furniture and things like that. So that's also something we might be able to tap into.
I would like that even more, because I like to feel it and sit in it and
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the process we go through. Typically, we'll figure out kind of what you think you like from pictures, but then, and Derek, I don't know, somewhere in the system, if we get half of a gym or something, but we have the vendors bring in,
Gym might be a good spot. I might be muted. No, the gym might be a good spot. That's actually a good idea. You could kind of divide it up, because you could actually divide it in quarters, right? And kind of set up 4 different somewhat classrooms.
Yeah, what ends up happening is you can't get like 28 chairs and a teacher desk, but if you think you want to see like 2 or 3 different chairs that the kids might sit in, or some stools or rockers or something, these vendors will deliver one, and you can check this manufacturer versus the other one. So it's really kind of like going to a department store, where there's one of everything. But we agree, right? It may look good in a picture, but you gotta sit in it.
And you gotta see it.
And you gotta roll around. So.
Get Lil a wiggle chair.
So,
I will say that both of these issues are intertwined. They have to run parallel.
Yeah.
One can't take precedence over another. We're gonna do the finishes and the furniture at the same time.
all the colors.
And everything kind of meshes together. You know, all of a sudden someone says, oh, I can't have a blue room because I want the green chairs. You can't have that. We got to get to a point where there's consensus, but it has to run parallel. So the people that are on both committees need to make sure they understand that it's going to run parallel.
Yeah. So hopefully it'll be a lot of overlap.
Very good.
We will start reaching out.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did anyone else, last one more time, any other questions for Gene? Okay. Seeing none, item 11, the next meeting, Josh, as I mentioned before, will hold the committee, but I just tried real quick to look back at minutes to look for October 18th, if that was in minutes from our last meeting. But that doesn't mean we didn't do it in July. So if everyone could hold the 18th, and Josh will poll you all tomorrow. There is no new business. Public comment. Mr. and Mrs. Basler, you had some things you wanted to add.
Yes, hi, thank you. Just really a thank you for looking at that fence. That is really important here. A lot of our rooms kind of look right now like my back family room looks right at eye level with that wall that's up there. So the fence is very important to us and on both sides of us. So thank you very much for moving that into the next level. And hearing your discussion, it sounds like you have the concerns all in mind there. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Mrs. Basler, did you want to add anything? I don't want to.
No, I don't think so. I think you guys addressed the fact that we can, right now there is no fence and we can actually see kneecaps, you know, as people are walking by. So, you know, it's a huge concern, you know, the headlights, you know, especially when the trees all lose their leaves. It's going to be, you know, it's right in our backyard.
So thank you again, really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you both very much. I don't think.
Other question.
Sorry.
Do you know when? I know they're putting the sheathing along the side. We can see that the green sheathing, is that the correct term? Do you know when the timeline for wrapping around? Right now, we see lights on both levels. I guess for safety reasons, when they're done.
The construction lights.
Those construction lights are left on both levels now, and that's something that's pretty recent. It was just the lower level. Now it's the second level.
So we're just curious just when they're planning on buttoning up the walls there.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll actually have Mike McNulty reach out to you both to answer that question for you, if that's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't think there's anybody else public on. There is not. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. 7:48.
Can I just, one quick question? I'm not trying to hold up the meeting.
Sure.
For Mike, just, I think I talked to you about this and I don't know if there's been an answer, but the Maurices live at 488 South Street. They're direct abutters to the driveway and the rear, the school. And he had emailed and then had called me. I'm friendly with him, but he had emailed, I guess, a gentleman named Kevin on site with a question in regards to the elevation of the manhole cover. It's about 5 feet higher, 4 to 5 feet higher was his estimate than his driveway. And it's, I guess there's only about a 10-foot difference, 10-foot distance between his driveway and that manhole cover. So he was just trying to figure out what the treatment was for grading that. Is there going to be some sort of retaining wall there, just grading? Is that manhole cover out of place? Is it, is it correct? Is it wrong? So I guess he was trying to connect with somebody. I don't know if over the last week somebody has connected with them, but I just wanted to make sure somebody does.
Pat, we heard that Kevin had spoken to him, but we haven't gotten any email that Kevin's received from him. But we are meeting with Kevin tomorrow. We'll make that a part of our discussion.
All right, and you can see it. I drove by, I can see it in from the gate. You can see there is a manhole cover there with the concrete structure out of the ground. It's quite a bit higher than the driveway to the left. So if somebody could just touch base with them, that'd be appreciated.
Will do.
Thank you.
Hey, Mike, thanks, Alyssa. All right, now, if there's nothing else. Nothing else, okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:50.
So moved.
Motion by Lil,
Second.
second by Harsh. I was getting nervous. Nobody wanted to adjourn the meeting. John, roll call.
Michael,
Yes.
Lil,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Harsh.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. Good night.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good
Good night.
night.
Good night.
Thank you.